In English, it's usually the smallest words that cause the most trouble. And these 5 verbs are no exception. Let, make, have, get, and help. And they all have something important in common. We can use them as causative verbs, which are essential for communication with native speakers. We use them all the time, both formally and informally in speaking and writing. Causative verbs are used in situations where one person causes another person to perform an action. So imagine that person 1 is a movie director and person 2 is an actor. Directors usually don't perform in the movie, but we need the director to complete the movie. So in a causative sentence, the subject is like the director of a movie. The subject and the object of causative sentences are usually people, but not always, and you'll see some examples of this later. Now, you might ask yourself, which verb should I use? And why don't we just use the verb cause? Well, it's complicated. In real-life situations, each verb has a very specific feeling, and textbooks cannot fully describe this feeling. I'm sorry. We have to consider some key information about the people and their relationship, the type of activity. For example, is this a planned action or a natural reaction to something? And any extra information that can change the focus or add emphasis. For example, if the task was difficult. In other words, we have to understand the context before we can decide which causative verb to use. And yes, sometimes cause is the best choice, but you have to know exactly when and why. So if you're ready to sound more natural and more precise in English, then you clicked on the right video. As always, you can click the link in the description to download your free PDF with all the information from today's lesson. I'll start with the verb make because this is the strongest and the most direct. If you make someone do something, that means you directly force someone to do something. Generally, force is more formal and make is more common in everyday speaking and writing. But notice the difference in the structure of these verbs. You force someone to do something with the to infinitive here. But be careful. We don't say make someone to do something. No, we only use the base verb. Usually, if someone makes you do something, you don't want to do it or you don't feel good about it. For example, our boss made us work late on Friday. This is an irregular verb in the simple past tense, made. No one wanted to do this, right? But we had no choice. He made us do it. You'll also notice that make describes physical sensations or emotional reactions that are personal and involuntary. That means it's not done by choice. It's automatic. Like breathing is an involuntary action. Here's another example.
My parents have been there since day one. They know what makes me cry, what makes me laugh, what makes me happy, all my struggles.
Makes me laugh, makes me cry. But the last one is a little different. Makes me happy. This is not a verb. This is another possible sentence structure with an adjective. If someone or something makes you happy or upset or curious, then it causes you to have this emotional reaction. Working in the garden makes me tired. So here the subject is not a person. An action causes this feeling, working in the garden. This lotion makes my skin very smooth. Now, the object is also not a person. The object is my skin. Now, here's a common question I receive. What's the difference between make and cause? We already know that make is more common in everyday speech, and it usually implies direct force or instruction or a physical or emotional reaction. Cause is a little more formal and indicates the reason why something happens. It focuses on the connection between the reason and the result. And this connection is typically more indirect. Cause is usually better for explanations that are more scientific or technical. And most importantly, these verbs have different sentence structures. With make, we use the base verb after the object, but with cause, we use the infinitive with to. Cause someone to do something. Also, we have to use an infinitive before an adjective. Cause someone to be sad, to feel nervous, to become worried, etc. Now, this is possible, but again, it's a little unnatural. It's much more common to use make with these physical or emotional experiences. Make someone sad, make someone nervous, make someone worried, etc. In a similar context, there's another structure you can use, cause plus a noun. This is very common with nouns that represent negative results, like problems, illnesses, etc. For example, the hurricane caused a lot of damage. The car accident caused a traffic jam. Smoking causes cancer. So again, these examples are more factual and a little more formal. Smoking makes cancer? No, that doesn't work. Our next causative verb is the easiest one, in my opinion. We use let in everyday speech to mean that we allow someone or give someone permission to do something. Now, this has the same grammatical structure as make. So, do we let someone to do something? No, we let someone do something. Please don't let the dog jump on the couch. So, this action is not allowed. The teacher let the students use their phones for research. Wait, it's time for a pop quiz. Which tense does this sentence use? Simple present or simple past? Keep in mind that let is an irregular verb. The action happened one time in the past. We know this because if we have a third-person subject, one person or one thing, like the teacher, we need to add an S to the verb in the simple present tense. So let's change this. The teacher lets the students use their phones. Now, this is a repeated action that happens every time the students need to do some research in class. The teacher allows them, the teacher lets them use their phones. The next expression is essential for conversational English. Let me know. This means inform me, or more literally, allow me to know. You can use this alone, or you can use this before or after an if clause. Please let me know if you need any help. Or, if you need any help, please let me know. Also, when you're writing, if the if clause is not the final clause of the sentence, make sure you put a comma after the if clause. You can also follow this with a clause that begins with a question word, like when, where, what, etc. You'll notice that a lot of YouTubers say this.
Let me know what you think in the comment section down below.
Leave a comment below and let me know how you enjoy spending your time.
The next verb on my list has many different meanings, but let's focus on the causative use of have. We use have in more formal or professional contexts when we're arranging for another person to do something for us. when we want to give someone a task or a responsibility. You'll also notice that one person usually has more authority or more power in the relationship. For example, a boss and an assistant, a teacher and a student, a customer and a business owner. In this situation, the customer has a little more power because they're paying money for a service and giving that responsibility to the business owner. The important thing here is that have is not as strong as make. Most of the time, if you have someone do something, you're just asking or giving instructions because it's someone's job. For example, the manager had his assistant reschedule the meeting. So this is a routine task or responsibility for the assistant. Can you have the doctor call me when he gets back? In this context, you're talking to a different person and you're making a request. You want this person to arrange for the doctor to call you. Also, the phrasal verb get back means to return to a location. Another example.
I have someone else do it because that takes a lot of time.
Our next causative verb is get. This looks similar to have, but there are some key differences in the structure, the formality, and the feeling. You have someone do something with the base verb, but you get someone to do something. So yes, this time we need the infinitive with to. Generally, get sounds more conversational and more informal than have. We use both verbs in similar situations when we arrange for someone to do something for us, but there's almost always a difference in meaning, and this sometimes is very subtle or difficult to notice. So let's change this sentence from earlier. The manager got his assistant to reschedule the meeting. Had implies that this was a very simple instruction or request. Usually, if you get someone to do something, it means you convince or persuade someone to do something. This often implies that this requires more effort, especially when the action is difficult or unpleasant. So in this context, got changes the feeling. Maybe the assistant did not want to reschedule this meeting because this meeting was really important. Or maybe there would be negative consequences. But in the end, the manager got the assistant to do this for him. Look at the next sentence. How can I have my kids eat more vegetables? No. How can I get my kids to eat more vegetables? Have sounds too formal for an everyday conversation about family problems. Also, let's be honest. Kids don't enjoy eating vegetables. You can't just arrange or request this. It takes more effort to convince them or to get them to eat vegetables. I think the only other option is to make them eat vegetables, right?
Oh, I hate vegetables.
Honey, they're good for you.
Oh.
Okay, before we move on to the next causative verb, we have to talk about a really useful structure with have and get in the passive voice. This is more advanced, but this concept is so important for fluency. Let me explain. Imagine that this time you're the movie director, and you have to decide where to focus the camera and the spotlight. Here, the focus is on the person who's performing the action. In a sentence, this is called the active voice. A tattoo artist removed my tattoo. The focus is on the tattoo artist. But maybe that's not what you want. That's not your vision. Maybe you only care about the result or the status of the tattoo. So let's use the passive voice. The tattoo was removed by a tattoo artist. In this case, the person who did the action is not important, or this person is obvious. Only a professional tattoo artist can do this, so the by phrase isn't necessary. Let's change the focus again. Who arranged this plan? Me. I'm responsible for causing the action to happen. I scheduled the appointment and paid money for this service, but of course, I didn't remove the tattoo myself. That would be really dangerous. So let's express this with a causative verb in the active voice. I had a tattoo artist remove my tattoo. Or maybe I got a tattoo artist to remove my tattoo. With got, it sounds like you had to persuade the tattoo artist a little bit. It really depends on the context. Now, let's change the focus a little bit more, because remember what we said earlier. We still don't care about who removed the tattoo. The only important thing here is that I arranged for the completion of this action. So grammatically, how do we express all of this? We have two options. I had my tattoo removed, or I got my tattoo removed. Have or get plus object plus past participle verb. This is called the passive causative. This structure is almost always used in transactional situations when you arrange for a service to be performed. We don't know or we don't care who exactly does the action. We only care that the service we paid for is completed. And again, have sounds like a more formal request. Get sounds more conversational and sometimes can imply more effort, more difficulty, or persuasion. So now that we've compared all of these structures, let's do this again with another example. The mechanic couldn't fix my sister's car. Here we have a negative modal verb, couldn't. So the mechanic tried, but it wasn't possible. My sister's car couldn't be fixed. The focus is on the horrible condition of the car. We don't need to say by the mechanic. Now let's change the focus and answer this question. Could she arrange for someone to complete this task? No. So my sister couldn't have the mechanic fix her car. My sister couldn't get the mechanic to fix her car. Let's forget about the mechanic and just focus on the status of the car. Could my sister receive the service or the result she wanted? No, my sister couldn't have her car fixed. Or more conversational, my sister couldn't get her car fixed. I know this was a lot of information, but you don't need to memorize all of this today. Right now, I just want you to understand that this concept exists. If you keep listening and reading, you will see this structure again and again, and soon you'll become more comfortable using the passive causative in your own sentences. We use help when we cause something to be possible or easier for someone to do. And this one is flexible because you can help someone do something or help someone to do something. A textbook would stop there, right? But you want to know the real difference between these structures. Is one better than the other? Well, I would recommend using the base verb. This is more common in modern English and it sounds more natural, especially in speaking. But just to be clear, the to infinitive is fine. It just feels a little more formal or traditional. In fact, we can test this with data. This is the Google Books Ngram Viewer, and this shows the frequency of words and phrases in writing from thousands of books that were published from the year 1500 all the way to 2022. You can type anything here, but let's compare the phrases help me find and help me to find. So you can see here that in the 1800s, the to infinitive was the preferred choice. But today, the base verb after the object is much more common. And this is true for both British and American English. Can you help me find my keys? He helped his neighbor cross the street. In these examples, notice that the subject is directly helping someone complete a task. However, the someone is optional when the type of help is more indirect. It's possible to help do something or help to do something. This is usually in the context of improving a general process. Reading every day helps to improve your vocabulary. Exercising regularly helps to reduce stress and anxiety. This type of help is more indirect because it's not specific to one person. And in this specific context, you'll notice something interesting. Now, the to infinitive is more common in British English, and the base verb is more common in American English. This is not a rule, okay? This is an observation based on data and my own life experience. So choose the one that feels comfortable to you. Just remember that the base verb is more common if you have someone as a direct object. I don't know about you, but this lesson made me tired. So now the key is you have to practice. Try to notice these verbs when you're reading or listening to English and challenge yourself to use them in your own speaking and writing. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And in the comments, let me know what you'd like to see in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Gina. This is Your World in English, and I'll see you next time. Bye!